Yo, welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we sit down, pull up a chair, and we get started. This podcast is designed to provide you packed full of information to help you with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, and well-being, where we interview myself through case studies to give you lifetime experience. And then we also interview high-performing individuals or other career-focused people who are looking to make changes in their lifestyle, training, nutrition, and well-being. And you can literally extrapolate information from their experience. So let's pull up that chair and let's go. Now, who's Karl McKenna? I know he runs Vitruvian Health, but how did Karl start? Well, I started off as a young little boy. Well, if you can find the photo, and I'll probably put it up in the thumbnail. When I started off, I was that little boy who dressed as the Pink Ranger, because no one dressed as the Pink Ranger. So I got to dress as the Pink Ranger, probably because it was on special. So why not? But started off as a little boy. If you're looking at the photo, it's me. If you remember primary school, you had the straps, what's that thing called? The neck protector for the sun. And anyone that had that was a nerd or a little dork. So I was a tiny little thing. Fast forward over the years, growing up in high school, fell in love with training, trained every day, literally from the moment I could be in the gym, because it was cheaper than aftercare. I would train in the gym every day. My dad, love him, used to work really hard. He worked full time, 12, 16-hour days to, provide for 3 full-time carers to look after my mum. So my mum had multiple sclerosis as a young kid. And, growing up with that, having a mother who couldn't really talk, I learned, there are more than one way to skin a cat or to talk. So I went very young, screwing a little thing, cheeky little bugger, how to kind of get people's attention. So from my mum at a very young age, me not understanding why she had MS, how she got it, what was going on, who were all these people, why was my dad always tired? Because he was, really working to make sure that she was cared for and I was cared for. Found a way to get my mum's attention. So for those that are wondering, what is he talking about? So when I was a kid, about 5, 6 years old, I got sick and tired of my mum not talking to me because I didn't fully understand. So I went into the laundry, climbed the shelf. It's Mum. Oh, what's going on? And I plug in the iron and I run up to the front of my mum holding the iron. And I go, if you don't get out of that chair, I'm going to burn this carpet. Mum not being able to talk. Panic. And I can see I've created change. I looked at her and I go, I know you know what I mean. So I run off to the side and I put the iron on the carpet and I sprint and I run to the front of the house and I stand there waiting at the front, waiting for my dad. Long and behold, my dad, he comes in, he comes around, he's got a big bag of chips and there's my eyes light up. So I go from, I'm going to make Mum walk to food. Yeah. And I run, Dad, big smile. Hey, Karl, grab the chips. I run away. Mum's still, kind of shouting. And I run away, lock myself in the garage, hide away, tuck myself under a couch, lock everything. And my dad's like, okay, that was a bit weird. Walks to my mum, sees the carpets being burnt. Huge scream. Oh! I'm quickly eating those chips and turns the iron off, says hi to my mum, and he comes after me. So from literally a young age, not having a parent who was able to talk, literally found a love for sport and just a different way to interact. Because though Mum couldn't talk, my dad would always make sure he was there, would bring my mum, and they would cheer. So she could make noise. So it was really inspirational that she could be there. And a little bit teary at the moment talking about it, but this is probably what shaped me to kind of get into the world of personal training, working with people, because there's not one size that fits all. And this is a really big inspiration for Table Talk, is to flesh out conversations. And, there are many ways to communicate. Again, another one is Kate found a podcast with Tony Robbins, and they've found that kids can learn sign language faster than the English language. So there are kids that are able to communicate what they're thinking and what's going on before they can even speak. So this child is communicating how she's feeling. Like, I think hand on chest means love, and she's communicating to people before she's able to talk. So there's more than one way to have a conversation with people, and it can come from asking the right questions, can come from physical action. So, big testament to my father, who found ways to support me and my growth development and has nurtured me over the years. So if you see that scrawny little kid, he was a little brat. And, as I grew, found other ways to communicate health and well-being. Now, some are pretty embarrassing. Like, if you scroll through my Facebook, you will find pictures of me in a tree modeling. Let me air quote that, modeling. Yeah. So, here's me with six pack and abs thinking, what would make this photo really good? If I stood in a tree or put a foot in a pool. What a guy. And, that fast forwarded my partner, Kate, to go, you look like a skinny little bitch, and not a man. And I was like, that hurt. Stuff you. I'll prove you wrong. And, it led me to nurture and work with people like, shout out to Rodin Dubois or Mr. Dubious, Mark Tobre, Christian Maurice, Francine Savard, Larry Vanette, just a few people that have Chris Lowe, Kay Scott, and many others who I've worked with over the years. Rachel Guy, can't forget her, little chipmunk here. Just some people, God, I could keep going on, but these are some people that have shaped and nurtured me into the individual I have, but also helped me to build some arms, so I'm no longer that skinny little bitch. So as Kate would say, now a man. Jokes aside, but now really pushed me to be who I am today and has led us to this point where now we're looking to give back, give insights, and share what's going on. So we're going to do things like, what is someone's morning ritual? So for me at the moment, it's jumping on a trampoline for 5 minutes, listening to my favorite song, doing this breath work where I go, do that 30 times, then take 5 deep breaths, repeat that 3 times. Evening routines where I do magnesium, shower, wind down routine, use my sexy blue light blocking glasses. We'll talk about the current training methods, where right now I'm doing a 6x2. So I do 6 sets of 2 reps, working on proficiency and improving movements and strength. And I'm doing pull-ups twice a week because I want to get stronger pull-ups. I've been dabbling in implementing some cardiovascular training about 2-3 times a week. But I've recently found that, if I did it first thing in the morning, it would stimulate a greater fat oxidative response, stimulate more dopamine production. So I'm going to give that a go. We look at work-life balance. How do we balance life and work? Well, I integrate it together. So I have 4-day splits, or 4 mini days in a day. So what that means is I have a alarm that goes off at 6, 10, 2, and 6. So for those that are listening, I am doing a video recording. So I'm showing my alarms. So I have 4 days in one where I set a new intention. So 6 till 10. This morning was all about podcasting, getting on top of things and documenting. So if anyone's curious, like what questions we do, how do we start, it's all documented so I can share with more people. We'll ask things like, if we summarize who you are, what would it be? Fun, joker, laser focused, OCD, laid back. Just what does someone think of themselves? So for me, someone likes to have a good time, make a joke, but serious about getting it done. And someone who wants to 10x life and take massive action to really build a life for generations to come. So for my kids, and, personally, my dad did a lot for me growing up, put himself through a lot. So I really want to be able to make sure that in 5-10 years time, one, he works for me as an accountant. Dad, be our accountant, be our accountant, be Vitruvian Health's accountant. So he can retire and be our accountant. But really, I want to be able to, whenever he needs me, I'm there, but also financially there as well. So I don't want to just be the person that's like, well, I showed up all the time. I want to be able to know that, when I was growing up, it would always be like, do you need money? No, I'm good. Do you need money? I want to be able to return that. So for family, my partner's family, for friends, because it's not an expectation. It's just, you do it. You do it because you want to. What's 1 to 3 highlights of your career in life? There are many. I'll be sharing those in case studies through different episodes. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about your industry, and how would you correct it? In any career, we'll look at it. For me, it's usually just starting. A lot of people are paralyzed through paralysis, myself included, just like how this podcast started. I took many months before I started before I was like, I've got the title. I could have started, and I probably should have, but I just put my energy into other things. Sharing times you took a risk and it paid off, and what did you learn from it? So I took a big risk and gamble, investing a lot of money into Facebook ads, but I also invested into a mentor called Jimmy Pom, and I'm glad I did. But I literally, he's like, we should do 20, $30. I'm like, cool, let's do 50 to 60. Let's like blow it up. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. But learn a lot of gaps and holes in my business very quickly. So instead of spending lots of money over months, spend all that money in 1 month so I could find out where the problems were straight away. And then we stopped it, dialed it back, and then worked together to really nail it. And so instead of waiting 6 to 12 months, we accelerated it by paying for it in a month. It was painful, but it was worth it because now I have an extra 5 to 11 months to action it, work on it. So when we do ramp it back up, we're ready to take it on and handle it. Sometimes you got to pay to win, and sometimes it's painful lessons, but you win in the long term, playing the long game. What are some of the biggest influences or role models, and how have they impacted your life? There's many. I mentioned them before. They've led me to kind of the person who I am today, but really, they're just people to share their own insights. And a lot of the time for me personally, I just ask people how they live their life. And that's really how I've learned to grow and evolve myself. So that's how Table Talk started, because we're going to have serious conversations about who they are and what they've been doing. So these are the questions we're going through. How do you stay motivated and focused, especially when facing setbacks and obstacles? It's tough, but for me, it's the mini break days is where I go, okay, it's not a shit day. It's just a shit moment in time. Take 10 deep breaths. Let's reset. Let's get it. And the trampoline I find is really helpful because, try being a really grabby, angry person bouncing on a trampoline. It'll snap you out of it pretty quick. So that's why I use a trampoline. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges facing you in the industry in the next few years? I don't. Me not knowing what I don't know. Yeah, and probably not having enough support and structure for my trainers to be the best they can be. So, construct of time, it's going to take them 5 years. I really want to get them to 1 to 2. So how can I do that? I don't know how to best do that. And obviously it's a learning lesson. So shout out to all the people that I've worked with over the years. Without you guys, I know some of you, we've had some challenges. We haven't left the best of paths. Obviously, it's all a learning curve, but anyone that's worked with me, I know that personally they will succeed. It's been a privilege to have them part of my team and Vitruvian Health. And I always say this to people, people will say, oh, without you, I wouldn't have done this. You know what? You would have done it anyway. It's just been great to be able to work with anyone and everyone who has, been part of that journey and to watch them grow. And there's a lot of people out there that have really taken hold and really just doing really well now, which is really exciting. And for some people, they found out it wasn't for them, which I'm sorry for, that I wasn't the leader or the person I am today to have really helped you. But I hope that you are still training, still looking after yourself, and really just growing to the amazing individual you were meant to be. And some people, it's not PT. Like I was being a chef and a cook and a baker. That changed. So, everyone finds through their journeys. The next question will be is how do you stay current and up to date with the latest trends and developments in the industry? I don't too much. I look at YouTube videos, I look at minutes and notes from other events, but I honestly just hire mentors and specialists to teach me what they've been doing, because they specialize in that area. So I can accelerate myself. I'm not really good at reading research papers. There's a few people out there, which is interesting. Luke Lehman, Luke Tulloch, and Luke Ross. Go figure, all 3 Lukes all into the research reading. That's a rare find. I hope all 3 of you are well, sirs. So I use them quite a bit. There are many more, of course. Other question will be then is what is something you're currently working to improve on? For me, it's time management, really being more productive with my time. And knowing that you can't do everything, but focusing on one thing at a time and taking the time to breathe and be there for my team, and really thinking about, rather than how can they help me, how can I help them to improve what they can do this week and next week and onwards. So how can I be of service to them to get the most out of themselves and me to grow faster? And the last will be is, how does anyone get in touch? And we'll summarize the talks from that. So those are the questions in Table Talk. That is the summary of how we came to be. Some fun stories. Big shouts out to partners, family, and friends. And what do you know? Eddie Remonoskos is now messaging me via email. So if anyone heard that bing, that's one of my senior trainers getting onto it. And he is probably, more than likely, sitting in a nice cafe, having a coffee on his laptop, getting ahead of the day. So thanks for tuning in. Karl McKenna here with the insights, the stories, how we came to be, the shout outs, the people of inspiration, a list of the questions that we have and that we'll be asking some of the people. But of course, my OCD would want to do that from 1 to 15, but it will be a free flowing conversation. And hopefully you can pick apart some of these people's journeys to help you accelerate your timeline. So instead of waiting 3, 6, or 12 months, you can take that gem, that nugget, that piece of information that you can go, I could probably do that now. And then you reflect at the end of the week or the end of the day. You ask yourself, how did that go? And have that serious conversation with yourself, like when you sit at a table with loved ones, families, career development, or your own business growth. And you really nut it out to then move forward and dominate. That's a wrap. Adios, amigos. Hey, thanks so much for joining the episode of Table Talk today. We hope you found some helpful tips and inspiration in staying healthy and fit, even with a busy schedule. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next conversation. Until then, keep prioritizing yourself, your health, your fitness, and we'll see you on the next Table Talk.